Mom, of course I wouldn't disappoint you. I requested 3 times.
I know. I'm a little technologically challenged. I admit that.
That's
Hi,
okay.
beautiful.
Hi.
Oh, I wish I was with you in person.
Me too. I miss you, Mama.
I miss you too, lovey. So we're going to talk about therapy.
Yes, we are. Yep, that's all we talk about in our house, so feels appropriate.
So what's your first question?
Well, I guess we all started being therapists because we first went to therapy. So
Yes.
why did you first start therapy?
Well, because I married your father.
Right. Yes.
No, just joking, just joking. No, just joking. So I grew up with a mother who had me at 19, and she was a total hippie.
Mm-hmm.
What? You can't
I
imagine,
can't
right?
imagine having a baby at
No,
19.
no. And the beautiful thing about my mother was she was reading all psychology books when she was 19, 20, 21, 22. And
Yeah.
she was into something called humanistic psychology. Look at this, guys. I found this book
I know, it's so amazing.
from 1970.
Which is
And
the author of a book you're now reading, which is who's all
yes,
the book is all about.
yes. And so what she was very into, is it nature or nurture?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does anybody want to answer that question at 10?
No. It sounds like our dinner table conversations, though.
But she drilled it into my head. And humanistic psychology was different than Freud and pathologizing mental health. It was really about exploration and really psychological composting and breaking down your brain. And
Mm-hmm.
so she just asked me beautiful questions. And when I was really struggling at 22, when I married your dad, because we had a very big life and he was complex and I was complex, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I need to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
saved me.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, I was so addicted to therapy that I went every single Monday
Yeah.
at 1 p.m. And even
Well,
when my therapist went on vacation, I like Pavlov's dog, I would still show up.
I didn't. Mom, you're just addicted. I would say your addiction is self-growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have that.
Yeah. You don't stop.
Okay, so Chan, why did you go to therapy?
Well, I went to therapy because, I mean, we grew up in a house where it was very much always known that it was okay to go to therapy. I mean, I went as a kid when you and dad got divorced. And then when I went into 8th grade, something happened to my brain. And all of a sudden, I just I like couldn't just act and think spontaneously. I was questioning everything. I became super anxious. And honestly, at the time, I didn't know it, but I was definitely depressed.
And I
And
didn't know it either. You know what? I just want to just say this, that
yeah,
you were irritable. And before I was a therapist, I didn't know that irritability in children is a sign of depression. So I'm really
yeah.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay, Mom. You did an amazing job. You would sit with me on the floor for hours. I would just like cry and complain to you. I was a really emotional kid.
Well,
And I,
that's what my mother did with me, though. She would sit with me for hours and talk to me about my feelings.
yeah, which I mean, thank God, because it definitely helped me so much and made me feel comfortable to ask you to even go to therapy, which is what I did. You just told me that story actually yesterday when I was 16.
I
Um,
remember that moment. It was really poignant.
yeah, yeah. And then I went and it really like changed my life. I didn't know until up until that point, which is now so funny because it's so clear to me that I was just so hard on myself. And my therapist
Oh.
would point out how hard on myself I was. And yeah, and it like changed my life.
And so, guess what we discovered that you had?
What? Oh, oh, shame, shame. Yes, yes, the shame compass. All my friends know about it. They're in here. My friend Laura talked to me the other day and said, Chan, I think my friend was shame acting out the other day. So yeah, the shame compass definitely is what I had a lot of shame.
I know. And I'm so sorry that you did that. And you know what? I could have done a better job. And I was 25 when I gave birth to you,
Yeah.
and I was a baby myself. And I wish I know now what I know, no, I wish I You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Know now what I knew then,
No,
or whatever that
but
saying
I
is.
think that's,
But
yeah. But honestly, I think, Mom, that like no one's perfect. And honestly, like you always say, like we're gonna have ruptures and it's just all about the repair. And like I feel like you always owned when you weren't perfect and we always talked about it. It was always like an open household where we could just like talk about everything, which was made all the difference.
yeah, I know. It really, my mom taught me that. I mean, she would say, "My love, how do you feel about that?" I'm like, "Mom, it's a crack on the wall.
I
I don't
know.
feel nothing about the crack on the wall."
And now
Like,
I'm always asking my fiance, and he's like, please stop asking me how I'm feeling all the time.
I know. I know, but she was such a great teacher of that. And, my mom, ironically, was raised, it might make me cry, but she spent 2 years of her life in an orphanage. So
Hmm.
I think that she was so obsessed with healing and self-actualization and
Yeah,
self-exploration because of her
yeah,
beginnings.
yeah. No, totally.
And she really passed that down to us.
Yeah, everyone says that conversations with Nana were like a drug,
They
and
were. They
I wish I
were.
could
I
get
know. Just
started.
before this session, I was like sitting in front of my computer looking at her
Hmm.
picture and just
Yeah,
like, why aren't you here?
I know. No,
But
but
she lives
she's
in
here. She lives
us.
in exactly.
She lives in us.
That's
Yes.
what I feel like.
So why did you become a therapist?
Um, well, I mean, growing up, I was like obsessed with people, and you said that
Oh God. You used to memorize the directory of the school. I was worried about you.
I did. I used to memorize my elementary school's phone book because I was fascinated by who had a sibling in what grade and like what it meant that they were the middle child. And I was obsessed if parents were divorced. And I was like, oh, I wonder how that's affecting that kid. And then I also, you said, used to joke that if I was Native American, my Native American name would be Girl Who Asked 100 Questions.
Yes.
All I ever wanted to do was learn more about people. And then you went to school to become a therapist. And so I always knew I wanted to work with people, but I was like, maybe I'll be a teacher, maybe I'll be a therapist. And then you went to school to be a therapist. And I was like, oh, that's an option. And you were always coming home and you never thought that any information was too beyond my head. So you would always talk to me about everything you were learning, somatic psychology, attachment theory. And so I went into school. I almost feel bad when I was in class because everyone would think I was so smart, but I was like, it's just because my mom is teaching me behind the scenes.
Oh,
And then I went to
no, you are so smart. You and Carter have been my greatest teachers.
yeah, he's a wise one too.
He's a wise one too.
Um, but then I went to college and I didn't even major in psychology going in, but I was like, okay, I'll take my first intro to psych class. And I was like, oh my God, like you could learn about this and this could be your major. It's so fun. And I majored in it. And then I was deciding between being a researcher and a therapist. And I don't know, I just like, I love talking to people and I love, yeah, I don't know, I get so much energy from my work. And I just knew this was the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
And
about
I
you?
think that I mean, I went back to school at 39, which is kind of old. I mean, I'm 52, so I'm already old. But at 39, I started to meditate a lot. And I had been in therapy since I'm 22. So I've been in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I I just realized that I wanted to have generativity. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make a difference in the world. I want to leave the
Mm-hmm.
world a better place. And so
Absolutely.
I hadn't even graduated college.
Yeah.
So I had to do 2 years of online schooling for college, get my master's, do
Mm-hmm.
3,000 hours, and then I went for my doctorate because I always need to compensate for my shame with perfectionism. I mean, I'm still working on that.
You're such
And
a perfectionist.
I know I have a real fucking issue, but I became a therapist and it is the best thing in the world,
Yeah, it is.
right?
It is. It feels like such a gift. No, I agree. It's very much a like a job that aligns completely with my values and gives me meaning and purpose in life. I mean, everyone always asks, "Are you exhausted sitting there listening to people all the time about their sad stories?" But it's like it's actually really energizing. Like it's really
It
energizing
is.
to have someone be so authentic and open with you. And I don't know, it just feels like such a blessing.
You know what I always say? Because I'll see 8 patients in a day, right?
I
And
know
I'm
it's,
like, I feel like I'm in Vegas. I don't know what time it is. And the
yeah, I don't know
vitality, I
how you do
don't
that.
feel drained. Like the vitality that flows through me, through
Yeah.
my patients' authenticity, their
Yeah.
braveness, their courage, to
Absolutely. Oh, it's an
show
inspiration.
up,
Totally. Totally. I
right?
completely agree. No, I know the braveness and courage that you witness. Actually, I mean, like they're getting so much out of it, but like so am I, like they teach me every day too, my patients, to how to show up and like sit through the pain in order to grow and become.
Yes. I always say that it's very easy to be a therapist in the room,
Yes. Oh, so much easier.
but then I have to go outside and live it with my own family, my husband. Shout out to my husband. Love you, honey.
Hi, John.
And
Love you.
my family and in life. And, Carl Jung always said, you can only take your patients as far as you're willing to go.
Completely. Completely. Right. And yeah, no, exactly. And that's where my patients really inspire me because I mean, a client will come in with something and like I haven't worked on that. And I'm like, you know what? That's something that I have to work on because how am I able to give you any, how am I able to hold a space for you through this when I haven't even held a space in myself through this?
But you know what? I think you bring up a really important point that we don't have to know everything to be a
No,
therapist, right?
no, yeah,
We just have to have a cell, a space where people are not judged,
yeah, exactly.
and then something will emerge if we're genuinely curious.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that we don't always have to know, and we can take that pressure off of ourselves to know because we
completely.
possibly couldn't know everything.
No, no. And I think it's just reflective of life being a journey, Connor said that to me actually earlier. He was just like, yeah, I mean, like, it's not like you come in as like an expert or that you go to therapy and therefore you know how to do therapy. It's just, I don't know, you just have to be open to the process and open to the fact that like life is painful, but also beautiful and to like dive into everything that all the pain that people are showing you is like actually what allows you to experience vitality.
Yes. Yes, because we're so afraid of emotions.
We're so afraid.
And my
Yeah,
mom, that's the one gift that she gave me. And I have her picture here. Um, there she is,
I know. Look at her.
smoking
She
a
already looks wise
cigarette.
in that photo. Like she looks wise.
And she always, you know what, she could be with me with my emotions. She never
Mhm.
shamed me about them.
Mm-mm, no, yeah. Yeah, and that's what you did for me and Carter. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I could be freaking, and I would freak out when I was little. I mean, I had a lot of emotion.
Oh
And
no, you were a perfect child.
and I would freak out and you would just be like, "Okay, honey, it's okay." Or you'd be like, "It's so hard to be 10, I know."
Yeah, but I wasn't perfect. I mean,
No.
I also did things, that I didn't understand. And I remember when you were really acting out, and we went to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and the therapist said,
Mm-hmm.
Nadine, all she needs is your attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And
true.
that just like changed my whole perspective. And the
Mm-hmm.
crazy part was once I started to give you a lot of attention,
Mm-hmm.
because I had just met John, and so we were so in love, and I was giving him a lot of attention. And,
Mm-hmm.
you had been through so much with your dad
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just so much early trauma. And I really hurt him. And once I started to give you attention, the irritability went like,
Yeah, no, exactly. It was the irritability went away, and then I think I had space to actually sit with the pain that the irritability was covering up. Um,
say that again, Chan. I want to hear that.
I said once the irritability went away because I wasn't like fighting for your attention anymore. It was like
Yeah.
the pain that was underneath it really started to actually be able to come up, and I hated it at the time, but I'm so blessed that it did because I was able to sit with it and learn from it. I mean, I would
Yeah.
never have been able to do this live. I mean, even like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I feel like I've grown so much since I was like in the past 10 years since I first got depressed. I guess that was like 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to come from a place of authenticity. I didn't know how to do that anymore. And then, yeah, like sitting with the pain is what allowed me to come back to that and then feel like so much joy in a way that I never thought was possible.
I know, it's amazing. Yeah, we went to therapy for different reasons, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I went to therapy because of your dad, thinking I went because of your dad,
Yeah.
but really I was screwed up and
No,
it
we all
was easy to
are.
place blame on him, you
Right.
know. But I learned so much about myself in therapy and why I chose him and all
Yeah.
of that dynamic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, mom, but exactly. And like no one's perfect. And I think that bottom line is what you've taught me is that, there were a lot of ruptures in like our life, like in together, but like it was never like rupture, let's just stop and move away from this. It was always like rupture, keep going, like come back to love, like we'll get through
We were
this.
like, I was like, rupture digging.
Dig in. You would dig in. I'd like close my door, you'd knock on it, you're like, we have to talk about this.
I know. And you know what, though? I really, Freud always calls it the talking cure, but I call it the connection cure, right?
Yeah, it is. And that's what the therapist really recommended to you was she just needs you. She needs the connection cure. And it was true. I mean, you're like my everything.
Don't make me cry on live Instagram.
Connor's always like, should you call your mom right now?
Yeah. But you know what? That was my mother, what she was for me. She was my one person that I could always go to. She was my touchstone. She never judged me. She would
Yeah.
sit with me for hours and talk to me about my emotions, and that was so validating. And
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
validate by sitting with your children, and I want to offer this to you guys on Mother's Day, by sitting with your children and their negative emotions,
Yeah.
you really validate them and you really create a sense of self.
You too. Yeah. They're allowed to be seen just as a whole person because negative emotions are a part of the self.
They
And that's what
really
you taught.
are.
That's what you taught me that like no emotion is shameful enough for you to like shy away from it. Like even when I was sad or scared, you were always like, let's sit here and talk about it. And it really, like for someone who had a lot of shame, it was really necessary for me.
Yeah. No, no. She gave me that gift. I mean, that's, you
Yeah,
know,
I know.
that's the gift of
Hmm.
of of motherhood, I think, is that just to be with your children, no
Yeah,
matter what comes up.
yeah.
I mean, I remember, Carter, I'm sorry you're not in this, but I remember one thing I said to you. I love you enough for you to hate me. And I was on my knees crying in front of him.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, you always, yes, yes. That's classic. Yeah, that's classic you, mom. You were always
Yeah.
trying to contain us and keep us safe, even when it didn't feel like that.
Yeah. And you said something to me the other day that really felt good. Because not everything you say to me feels good, but that's okay. Um, you
No, I
said,
can
Mom,
imagine.
no, no, you said, Mom, I feel safe with you. I've always felt protected by you.
Always, always. If you like, I knew when we went somewhere because I had a lot of social anxiety, but if you were there, I was always like, oh, I'm fine. Like my mom's here. Like you were always my point of safety
Yeah.
because you were
And
just
that,
strong.
well, I was raised by a single mother in the 70s who told my father, at 24, we're going to be a family with or without you.
I know that's incredible. I can't like,
She was strong. We were on welfare.
I know. No, she
She was
really
strong.
created this. The fact that we're here talking today is because of Nana.
I know. It's because of Nana. And it's 20 years later that she's gone, and yet she still lives in us. And
Yeah,
my Aunt Patricia, too. I mean,
yeah,
she was talking about The Secret in the 70s.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing. I know. And she wasn't
Yeah,
even, Nana was like not, didn't have a lot of schooling and she was reading math. So like she was brilliant. She was reading Jung and Freud and she was just,
yeah.
she wanted to grow and learn. And I think that's what she passed down, a desire to grow and learn.
Yeah, and she passed down listen, therapy is about breaking down your defenses
Hmm.
and so you can become the best you,
Hmm.
right? Because we all have potential.
Totally. Everyone.
Everybody has a unique potential.
Hmm.
And my mom taught me that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you taught me that to just be open to everyone. Like there's something beautiful inside everyone. Yeah.
Yes. And if
And my
people,
clients tell me that every day on top of it. They like
I'm sorry, what'd you
solidify
say?
that. I said my clients solidify that for me every day. Just like, I mean, some people come in and say something at first, and I'm always like, huh, how will I respond to this? And then by the end of it, I just see such beauty in them.
I know. And especially right now, it's really important, even if we all act out, because we're all going to act out,
Oh,
we're all
yeah.
going to act in and feel anxious and depressed. We are going to be so imperfect right now. We're going to be
Yeah.
raw. We're going to be messy.
Mm-hmm.
But we can just embrace each other with all of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's someone when someone's usually acting out, what they need most is connection and love and kindness. Because they're just
Right.
feeling, it means they're usually feeling so much shame.
I know. You're right, honey. And you know what? I just want to thank you so much.
Thanks,
I love
Mom.
you so much.
I love you, Mom.
And thank you for doing this because I know you're introverted.
This is not as scary as I thought it would be. I survived.
Yes. And good moms always push.
Oh, yes, always. You always push me to like, you could do this. You can do this. I know.
Yeah,
I love
well,
you, Mom. I'm very
I love
lucky.
I love you too. And you know what? I just want to say to all the mothers out there, we've never done it perfect. We're never going to do it perfect. It's the hardest job in the world. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep showing up. Tell your kids, feel their feelings, be
Mm-hmm.
with their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I
that's
know.
it.
Yeah.
Guess what? Now I'm going to go eat some fried chicken.
You go, Mom. I know, Mom, and thanks for creating this like platform where we can even have this conversation. So amazing. Authenticity, baby.
No, wait. What did Ophelia say at my wedding? Wait. Here's to emotional growth.
Yes. Someone was already saying that at your wedding when you were 22. This is you.
Right.
Okay, I
Love
love
you.
you,
Have
Mom.
a great day, everybody. Love you so much.